Moors. To be very precise, Ceylon Moors, an ethnic minority in Sri Lanka, no doubt. But a community that prides itself of its distinct Arab identity, with a deep sense of national belonging second to none. Their kindredship with this serendipitous island goes back a long, long way in time. To the distant days when sailing ships were in full sail, and Arab merchants hailing from Iraq and the Arabian Peninsula were in command of the seas, as well as engaging in lucrative trade that flourished in these parts of the Orient. They didn't only make a good sale of riches like rubies and sapphires and cinnamon, pearls and ivory, but made good the selling of the island too by spreading its renown. It was through the Arab traders' advertising, so to speak, that the rest of the world knew what this fair isle had on offer. To the Arab traders, this fair isle was Jaziratul Yaqut, the island of rubies, or serendipity to the rest of the world, where accidental discoveries of fortunes were made, where Adam was cast from the Garden of Eden after his transgression, and where the Arabs traveled to in pilgrimage to the holy summit over the centuries. They even called this island Ceylon, that turned to Ceylon, 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 and Ceylon. So the Arabs, who were masters of trade, were here long before the advent of Islam. Their sincerity in commerce won them royal patronage, as stated in the chronicle Mahavamsa, where the court of Pandukabe in the 4th century BC set aside a residential area at the western gates of the town of Anuradhapura for the sole use of the Yonakas, meaning Arab merchants. After the advent of Islam during the medieval period, trading continued just as before, but with a considerable number settling down in various parts of the island, especially the coastal areas. However, that spirit of tolerance and fair play that prevailed during the rule of the kings and enjoyed for the mutual benefit of both king and country alike ended with the advent of the Portuguese. Thereafter the Dutch. They were all oppressive and suppressive centuries, to say the least. Breathing became somewhat easier during the British period, but there was so much that the community had suffered during 4 centuries of colonial rule. Educationally backward they were, not due to the lack of schools, but due to schools that lacked the Islamic culture. When that was deprived to the community, they became economically stagnant, culturally isolated, religiously obscurantist, intellectually sterile, and politically insignificant. Only a visionary of the caliber of Muhammad Qasim Sidilebe, or MC Sidilebe as he was better known, could have done this soul-searching as he did, and forge a way out and forward for the entire community. Born to an illustrious legal family, he knew if the Muslim community were to come out of the doldrums, they had to nurture the mind first. Muslim Naisan, an Arab Tamil weekly, was published to serve their purpose. Then he pioneered the founding of many a Muslim school in the country: Kagala, Udunura, Norelia, Hatton, Kurunagala, Badulla, and the Anglo-Mohammedan school in Maradana, Zahira College. All this before the end of the 19th century. For on the 5th of February 1898, he breathed his last, holding on to nothing, gifting everything so that the Moors of Ceylon may awaken and shine as a community in the future. 79 years later, all that sweat and toil of a lifetime earned its due rewards and recognition. Muhammad Qasim Sidilebe was honored as a national hero. On that day, the 11th of June 1977, a commemorative stamp was issued. They say a true leader always has his or her retinue of followers. Sidilebe surely had his. Among the many, some notables were Rabi Pasha, the Egyptian exile. Another was Arisi Marikar Wapache Maka, the famed builder of the times. In spite of the lapse of a century, his deeds command the cityscape, if not in height, in grandeur and elegance. The National Museum, the Old Town Hall, Golfes Hotel, amongst so many others. There was also an important fourth amongst the stalwarts of Sidilebe, ILM Abdulaziz, legal luminary in his own right and an erudite scholar, and one who staunchly dispelled the misconceptions on the origins of Ceylon Moors. The quartet, continuing from where Sidilebe had stopped and moving with the urgency of the times, formed the precursor to the All Ceylon Moors Association, with its first president being Sir Muhammad Makan Maka. The year was 1915. Because they believed only through collective effort that they can become strong as a community to face the challenges of a pluralistic society, and that the wealthy had a duty toward their poorer brethren. Donations poured in with magnanimity, first from the very stalwarts, spearheading the movement, leading by example. Outpourings of such charity did not just make a school for boys of the Moor community. It made the premier Muslim educational institute in the island that had the patronage of leading politicians and the adoration of the highest in the land. That is how wondrous charity is, when it outpours for the good of the community and country, and make Ceylon a happier place to live and die for. So said a tall, suave and debonair figure, worthy son of an illustrious father and the grandson of an even more illustrious grandfather, Sir Razik Farid. The cut and polish of a multifaceted diamond when he went about his work with patriotic zeal and sinking all differences in the national interest, the very entry into politics showed the metal in him. In the mid-1930s, he defeated a personage known as the Lion of the New Bazaar. To a lesser mortal, the opponent would be an arch rival, but not with Sir Razik, who is always gallant to his opponents, just as he is a friend to his supporters. Later in his political career, that opponent was Sir Razik's staunchest supporter. Sir Razik was born with the proverbial silver spoon, but he never lost the common touch. He rallied the entire nation's Ceylon Moor folk through a branch network of over 270 All Ceylon Moors associations. At the time when many opposed, he championed the importance of being a Ceylon Moor. Today, that claim to an ethnic identity is paying rich dividends. Firmly believing that knowledge is the remedy to infirmities of ignorance and a comforting beacon in the night of injustice, Sir Razik placed special emphasis on education. His crowning achievement was the establishment of the Muslim Ladies' College at Vallavatta. At a time when every heart was willing, not their purses, Sir Razik gifted the land for the cause. 13 females it was then, before the war. Look what it is today. The power of a dream. He was singularly blessed in having an education minister of the caliber of C.W.W. Kannangara when it came to government schools, who was sympathetic to Sir Razik's cause. An educational awakening came about for the Ceylon Moor community in government educational institutions for students and teachers, and for both sexes alike. Through his energetic leadership, Pasha Villa, the home of the All Ceylon Moors Association, was getting too cramped. With Sir Razik's initiative, the Rumia place came on a block of land granted by the government, but with a challenging stipulation. The Moors Islamic home that gets constructed should be 5 stories high. When many were skeptical, Sir Razik was not. He believed that when a community is a closely knit brotherhood, any challenge is surmountable. Challenges, sure, they will take on as they move from one fruitful century to the next, and all the while laying the foundations right, not just by themselves, for themselves, but for the nation in the true spirit of patriotism.